has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
Yeah, I know we're going to hit Saturday's games here in the coup de grace, the final hour of love on a pain-free Friday, but I'm watching these highlights of this Pickens guy losing his mind, not just in the fight in the end zone on the Hail Mary, but how about, like, leaving the field? They had to have, like, two guys hold him back because he wanted to take on everybody. He wanted to fight everybody. I mean, fist fights. He wanted fist fights. There was no getting around it. There was nothing short of fist fights. He wanted to fist fight. He wanted to throw hands with several people, and then people were just laughing at him. He was losing his mind, and the Browns players were like laughing at him and partying because he lost. He's such a sore loser, apparently, and such an immature little brat. Like, he lost his mind. Like, they had to literally hold him back. They had to hold him down. Like, two guys had to literally clamp down on him to stop him because he lost his shack.
He's got a lot of talent, but he's still a young player who still has a lot to learn. He's got a lot to learn. And it's between the fighting on the field and look, whether it's obviously true what he said afterwards. We said it earlier. The Browns suck. We know that. But when you're a player on the other team, we love honesty, but it ain't. Tomlin's not thrilled that he did that. That's going to bother Tomlin that he went out there and said they suck. That's just not how he likes to do business, as he says. So there's still a lot of things that Pickens needs to learn as a very young, talented player in the NFL. All right, let's go. I don't want you to get upset again, bringing back up the Steelers from last night. Let's get away from the Steelers. Instead, we'll move on to Indiana football, playing their biggest game ever at the Horseshoe tomorrow, noon East kick against Ohio State. Of course, Curt Cignetti now sounds like he's going to be a Hoosier for a very long time, maybe the rest of his coaching career, as they've given him an extension already. You knew you weren't going to get much out of him here. This is a guy who, as great a coach he is, likes to play it close to the vest, straight. I'm not going to give you any kind of bulletin board material. This is going to be a very tough game on Saturday.
So we've put ourselves in a position right now to be talked about quite a bit. That's nice. It doesn't help us prepare, doesn't help us play any better. But, we've got some great opportunities ahead of us. And this is a team that's capable. And the only limitations on this football team would be those we put on ourselves between our ears. But this is a group of guys that do not think that way. And we're going to go in to this next game confident, believing, and we're going to go out there and we're going to play well.
So Coach Bowden said that he's a genius. His father was a genius, and that he's going to put all kinds of wrinkles into the game plan offensively. Rich Sermonello said he likes Rourke to win the Heisman at 30-1 if he pulls off the upset in Columbus. So between those two elixirs, I am going to place a voodoo hex on the Ohio State Buckeyes tomorrow in Columbus. They will all get the rhea that I have of pneumonia, and the entire team will spend the entire morning up until kickoff on the toilet seats and be sick with the flu-like symptoms, and they will be under a voodoo hex for the entire day. The bocce jinx in full effect, Carver High. Indiana wins the game in Columbus. A stunning development.
That would be just the best outcome ever. If Indiana can go in there and get the job done, I will be rooting for it. I hope to see it.
I will cancel my vacation and be on the air Monday if they win the game.
You might have to do that. Now, remember, a week ago we sat here, it was 10.5. We came back from the weekend with 12.5, 13, 12.5. Back down to 10.5 today, right as we get closer to kickoff. So moving back towards the Hoosiers. Now, a huge injury for Ohio State. Their starting center, Seth McLaughlin, reportedly out with a torn Achilles, so that's not good for the interior of the Buckeye line. What I like the most in this game, though, is what's been good to me all year, the over. These Indiana games have been great overs. It's up to 53.5 now. Hope you got the 51.5 earlier in the week. I think Indiana will score points. I'm just hoping they also can limit the amount of points that Ohio State scores on the other side, and that Indiana can get it done for you. And for the let's hope so. Let's hope so. I'm rooting for Indiana. I hope they get it done. Miami, on the other hand, they already have a loss, but they need to keep it at one loss. They have Wake Forest at Hard Rock, also a noon East kickoff for you, so you're going to need like a double screen tomorrow. You got Indiana, you got Miami, both playing at the same time. Miami, though, you might be able to turn off at the half, hopefully. They're laying 23.5 against the Demon Deacons. Huge total here, 67.5.
Yeah, I just don't think they can beat anyone by 24 points. Like, every one of their games is close the whole season. So I think Miami wins. They don't cover.
Miami wins, don't cover. I could see that as well. I like the over because I think that Miami might score 60 by themselves with that 67.5. So I'm going to stick with the over in that department. Ole Miss in a spot right now.
Points in one game the whole year.
Wake Forest sucks. They might be able to do it tomorrow against them. Ole Miss, of course, is in a spot right now in the college football playoff. They go to the Swamp, where they will see the Gators, who have played better, of course, the last few weeks. Minus 11.5 for the Rebs with a 55.5.
Yeah, I think same thing here. I think Ole Miss wins. They don't cover. I think the Gators have played well enough for Billy Napier to keep his job, and at the Swamp, giving them 11.5. Now, look, I think it's an under. I really do. I think that Ole Miss is going to give Florida problems scoring. They're not going to score a lot, and this is going to be a dirty punch you in the Adam's apple type of football game. This is going to be a game in the trenches. I don't believe it's some massive high-scoring blowout at all. I think Florida will be in the game.
I think Florida will be in the game as well. I like the under in that game, too, with that 55.5. Ole Miss's D is very good, and I think Florida can hang around with them. All right, after you talk to Joe, I will give you the Big 12 games and then all the racks, including in that Arizona State coach Kenny Dillingham. I love this guy, and we'll play a little bit of him because he's got no idea how Arizona State can make the title game either. So we'll get his thoughts. We'll give you all the rest of the numbers as we continue to move forward here throughout the day. And then we'll do the Colorado-Kansas game too, and Notre Dame and Army at Yankee Stadium tomorrow night. Which will be a lot of fun.
You don't seriously think that Army team, like they are, it's literally, it's going to look like, monsters against children. The size of their team, Notre Dame is so much bigger than Army up front on both sides of the ball. It's like a mismatch. I don't care that Army is 9-0. I know you don't either. I think that they're going to get beat. The number's 14. Everyone thinks that Notre Dame's 14 points better than Army. You don't think Army's going to hang with them in this game in the Bronx, do you?
No. Notre Dame's had their bad game this year. They're going to smash Army at Yankee Stadium. It's going to be ugly. By the way, Shanahan just made it official. No Purdy on Sunday. He's out against the Packers. Brandon Allen will start at quarterback.
Hope you made that bet already because it's going to fly tonight, that number.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Always good to see Joe Pisapia, our Fantasy Sports Today host, on Coast to Coast on a pain-free Friday. Joe, I want to start with this, and then I'm going to ask you about Purdy. So let's leave Purdy on the sideline here, like where he's going to be standing on Sunday at Lambeau. Let's leave him on the side for the time being and go through what you just said to me in the break about what would happen to the 49ers after they lost the Super Bowl.
Well, it's this pattern that's been going on since the year 2000. If you go all the way back, it's something that I've been tracking just personally because I think every year it's so interesting. After the Super Bowl, you go look at the big board, and sometimes they're either number one or number two. It's whoever just lost the Super Bowl. But typically speaking, that team never makes it back to the Super Bowl, let alone wins a Super Bowl the next year. In the last 25 years, only one team has done it, and it was the Patriots with Tom Brady. So you can crumple that up and throw it out the window because there's Tom Brady and everybody else. He's the anomaly of all anomalies. He's the exception to every rule. So we fall into this trap every single year, and the Eagles are a perfect example last year, right? The Eagles going into last year, everybody loved the Eagles, all this talent, all this stuff, right? Schedule took its toll. Losing the Super Bowl mentally, I think, last year, trying to reinflate that balloon. You had coordinator issues, all this stuff going on, injuries. And this time last year, the Eagles started that decline where they just started losing and losing and losing. And the same thing's going on with the 49ers in the last couple of weeks, too. It's the injuries. It's the schedule that you have to play, the higher schedule as well. It's all of those things. And every year it happens. And every year I feel like it's a trap that people fall into. And I don't know when people are going to stop doing it. But I'm sure there's a lot of people that last year, right after that Super Bowl, say, oh, 49ers are going to go win it next year. And guess what? Here we are, and they're a 500 football team.
So, obviously, everybody knows that Fantasy Sports Today is Sunday mornings on SportsGrid. But what they don't know is what to do with Purdy out of the lineup. What do you do in terms of your fantasy leagues? Can you get someone on waivers? You know all this stuff. I don't. I'm amateur hour when it comes to this stuff.
Well, look, I mean, if you're playing in any sort of single quarterback league, there should be a lot of replacement value on the waiver wire. Guys you'd be looking at are guys like Drake May because of that rushing equity he brings you. I would be staying away from Matthew Stafford this week. The tough part is it's a big bye week, right? So we're missing a lot of guys. So maybe Baker Mayfield's on the waiver wire. People might have dropped him because he was on a bye last week. I don't feel great about streaming guys like Tommy DeVito or Cooper Rush, but if you're in super flex leagues, this is where it really hurts you because not only do you lose Purdy, But where you're going for a replacement, you basically have to go to Brandon Allen at this point because most of the guys are already gone off the waiver wire. It was DeVito, right, who just got, the replacement value on Daniel Jones, and you're just kind of looking around for any sort of replacement. So you're going to see a lot of leagues this week in Superflex formats where you're playing two quarterbacks where they won't have a second quarterback in that Superflex spot. Brandon Allen is not a great start on the road, but again, it would not shock me if they just end up pivoting and simplifying things a little bit for him. You're going to see a ton of Christian McCaffrey in this game. Hopefully George Kittle's back healthy enough to play in this game too, and then at least you have the full complement of weapons theoretically to help him out. That's a win. But look, don't be shocked if the 49ers win this football game, because it's not like Green Bay has been setting the world on fire recently too. They got out of Dodge last week in Chicago by the skin of their teeth, by a hand on a football and a kick. So they did not deserve to win that football game. They didn't earn to win that football game. So don't be shocked if the 49ers somehow pull a rabbit out of their pocket and win this one. But at the same time, from a fantasy perspective, you're in a tough spot here with Purdy and all the weapons. In theory, you have to downgrade a little, except McCaffrey. I think McCaffrey will see a ton of workload and volume for him. He might just take over this game.
What are some of the things people need to focus on or players that they need to look out for with only a couple of weeks left before the fantasy playoffs?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You still got that huge bye week coming up in week 14, and that's going to be massive, right? Bipocalypse, as we like to call it in the business. This particular week, too, you got some really good matchups. You're looking for anybody always in the passing game against the Baltimore Ravens. They're the gift that just continues to keep on giving. So look for Justin Herbert this week in the hardball, as I'm like to call it, this weekend on Monday. Then you've got Lad McConkey, you got QJ, you got all those guys you want to throw in there against Baltimore this week. And on the flip side, too, Baltimore has been very good against the run. So J.K. Dobbins is a really tough start this week. Are you going to start him? Probably. Well, you consider you're also going to be losing some touches here and there to Gus Edwards because it seems like he's been working himself back into that rotation. That's not the greatest recipe. You're in a tough spot here. If you are in win-now mode, where you're trying to just win and stay alive to get in those playoffs, this is the time where you just throw everything to the wall. I think you like what's going on with guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba. He seems to be going in the right path, too. All of a sudden, going from the boomer bust guy to a guy that's really starting to push things forward and kind of pushing Tyler Lockett to the side, too, and starting to realize in year two all that potential and that high draft stock that he had. At this point, too, you're just trying to get healthy. You need the healthy players out there more than anything. So looking ahead to some of the playoffs, you can, if you have locked up spots, the best thing you can do is start looking ahead to those weeks 15, 16, 17, try to pick up a defense that looks really good for that period of time and make sure that you have guys that are lined up in good matchups in those flex spots because that's where those extra points come from.
Are you willing to play Mike Evans this week, or are you not risking him for not being at full strength?
It's a really good question. I think you have to play Mike Evans this week. Not just because of the matchup, but also because you're in a bad spot here. You just lost Devonta Smith. Another guy's out. You might not have Malik Neighbors. And as I mentioned, you're already missing a bunch of guys with the bye weeks. So you have to throw Mike Evans out there. Think about Evans this year. He's only got about 335 yards total. And I know he missed a bunch of games, but still, the yardage total hasn't been great. He's been very touchdown dependent. I think you're going to see a lot of him in this game, too. Kate Otten has really stepped up, too. That's been one of the unheralded stories in a year where tight end looks so good going into the season for fantasy. It's been pretty much a disaster, and guys like Kate Otten have really saved a lot of teams off the waiver wire because he is seeing a ton of volume. He's on the field a lot. When you're on the field and you're getting targets, fantasy points usually come with it. He's been that guy that's really taken over in that void that's been abandoned by Chris Godwin, who's been on the IR.
So quarterback play, it's been tough in fantasy this year with all the guys being injured or guys underperforming like Mahomes, Stroud. They haven't done a lot. Tua being injured, Love being injured now, Purdy being injured.
Yeah, it's been really difficult. And on top of it, not just the injuries, but the bad play. I mean, Caleb Williams hasn't thrown a touchdown in 4 games. He basically left all the touchdown equity in London with him. He never came back to any of it. And it's the youth and inexperience at the position. And it's funny because, you see guys who continue to, go out there like Baker Mayfield coming off a good year last year and still getting it done. And you see some surprises like Bo Nix. I think a lot of people have pivoted. I'd be looking at Justin Herbert, Bo Nix. Those are those guys, if you're looking for help in the in the quarterback position, those guys can help you down the stretch.
Great stuff, Joe. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the games. Go, thank you.
two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim to make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Carver High, you just were talking to me in the break about Kenny Dillingham. Why won't they give this guy money and an extension? He's going to leave there.
Yeah, he will leave there eventually because they're cheap. That's pretty much what it comes down to. They're cheap, and they're not going to be able to keep him because basically, let's kind of call it like it is. He's still 34 years old. He's a young coach, really just getting started. This is his first head coaching job. He was on the staffs in Oregon and Florida State beforehand, so he's got a long career to go, and I can guarantee you the way he has started, it's not going to be in this place. He will eventually get a bigger job. But, man, he's entertaining. Listen to him talk. Here he is this week when he was asked about all the different scenarios for Arizona State to get into the title game for the Big 12, which 9 teams can still do. His team has one of the easier paths, but he doesn't want to talk about any of that.
Oh, I have no clue. I literally have no. Somebody was telling me if we win and somebody else loses, and then like ranch dressing falls on a wing, I don't really know. It just play the very best you can play, prepare the very best you can prepare. And like I told the guys last week in my leadership council meeting, like, don't get lost in the sauce. Like, just be the very best we can be over and over again. And wherever we end up is the best we could have ever done. That's it. Like, you can wish and hope, but if you just play the very best you can play and prepare the very best you can prepare, then regardless of what happens, it's the very maximum you could have ever achieved anyways. So what else do you want? So I have no clue the tiebreaker. Some of the players probably do. I couldn't even tell you.
Carver High and I occasionally do like to get lost in the sauce.
Lost in the sauce. That was a good one there from Dillingham, who is going to be very sought after for some of these big jobs after this season. They are 3.5-point favorites at home in the desert against BYU, who, of course, lost last week for the first time at home against Kansas. The winner of this game will be in great shape. BYU is going to get there if they win this game, and Arizona State will as well. So very important game. Totals up to 49.5 in this one.
So, everyone and their brother's taking Arizona State in this game.
Everybody.
Everyone and their brother. There isn't one person alive that hasn't said, I'm on Arizona State on Saturday. They got a huge game with BYU. The game's in Tempe. It's automatic. Everyone's betting on Arizona State. I want Arizona State to win the game. I just think BYU is going to win.
There you go. And you can even cover yourself with 3.5.
That's right.
Also, in case they lose a close game.
And win.
I
like Arizona State like everybody else, but there is it's the same thing as, like my son came home from college. As he said, the Steelers loss was the easiest bet of the year, that they were going to lose to the Browns. Easiest bet of the year. And believe me, this kid bets like a freak. And I don't, I didn't see it. I told you, they're still better. They're still going to win. It doesn't matter. The Browns suck and everything. Sure enough, the Browns win. Everyone thinks Arizona State's going to win this game, that they're going to the playoff. They're going to the Big 12 title game. And all the best laid plans laid to waste. So BYU lost to Kansas and their season was ruined. They either save face tomorrow in Tempe or it really is ruined. But if they win that game, they're in the Big 12 title game. They'll win the game.
The other side of the coin, of course, is Colorado. They also tied for the top in the Big 12 right now. They go to Arrowhead, where they will play Kansas, who has beaten Iowa State and BYU the last couple of weeks. Colorado favorites here on the road, -2.5. Heavy total, 59.5. Kansas playing some good football right now.
So they're really hot, and everyone, again, here is going to take Kansas at Arrowhead to stay hot, right? Colorado's flat out better than them. I'm willing to take the shot with Colorado to win that game, and I mean win it by 10.
I'm with you. I like Colorado here, and I know Kansas has gotten me the last couple weeks. I've gone after them. I'm going to go after them one more time and hope that they don't hit a hat trick on me. I'm taking Colorado at Arrowhead tomorrow to get the job done against the Jayhawks. Notre Dame, huge number at Yankee Stadium against Army, 14.5 with a 45.5. I said it to you before, I'll say it again. They've had their bad performance this year against the team. They should never lose to Army, and they'll cover against Army in the Bronx.
Yeah, I think Notre Dame by at least 3 touchdowns, maybe 4.
Freeman can smell it. Playoffs is there. He's got to put the foot down.
Guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With 2 former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't. and neither can I.
Betting Above the Rim, only on SportsGrid.
Into the fourth quarter we go. We call it money time here on Coast to Coast as we turn the corner for home.
We do turn the corner for home. I've got a lot more college football to do. Let's go. Several racks. Maybe even slide a coach or two in here. SMU undefeated in the ACC this year. They look to keep that going in Charlottesville against Virginia. They're laying a pretty big number on the road here. Rutgers favored at home against Illinois. Give me Schiano in Piscataway. Georgia and Tennessee both laying huge numbers in their late season SEC throwaway game. And Texas laying 20.5 at home against Kentucky.
Yeah, I want no part of those Georgia-Tennessee numbers at all. You know, Coach Bowden thinks SMU destroys Virginia. I still don't. I'll take the 10.5 in Charlottesville. And I like Illinois and their quarterback at Piscataway. And I like, Texas. I do like Texas by 3 tutties or more at Memorial in Austin over a weak-ass Kentucky football team. Mark Stoops is overpaid.
Mark Stoops is overpaid. Penn State is going to be heading to Minnesota tomorrow night. Very tricky road game for them. Let's hear from James Franklin quickly before we get to that rack. There's been a lot of chatter about this college football playoff. Franklin says the SEC and the Big Ten teams shouldn't be trying to rip each other down. They should be the entire playoff. They're the only teams that matter.
We're fortunate. We're part of the 2 conferences that I think everybody would agree are the 2 strongest conferences. I don't think we need to take shots in the Big Ten at the SEC because that's been proven over time, and I don't think the SEC should be taking shots at the Big Ten. We're in a really, really good position, both conferences. I don't think there's any argument there. And the reality is, whether people's feelings are hurt or not, these 2 conferences need to have the biggest number and the biggest presence in the playoffs because we've earned it throughout the season.
I hope that he earns a trip out of the top 12 and they lose in Minnesota tomorrow night. I don't know if I'm going to get that lucky, but I'm going to take Minnesota with the 11.5. That's for sure. At home against the Nittany Lions. You've got Wisconsin and Nebraska as well in the Big Ten. You also have South Carolina against Wofford, please. Pittsburgh getting a number in Louisville against the Cardinal. And you also have Missouri visiting Mississippi State, Stark Vegas.
Just give me Minnesota and the 110.5 points that are on the board.
Is there? Oh yeah, I see that.
Give me the
there you go. There you go. It's okay. We missed 10 and it's 10.5.
I'm a D. Give me the 10.5. Give me the 11. Give me the 11 with the Gophers. Wisconsin, Nebraska. It's got to be Raiola, right? South Carolina. Yes. I want no part of that game with Wofford. Pitt, Louisville. I'm on Louisville, and I like Missouri in Stark Vegas to beat Mississippi State. They stink too.
Mike Elko and Texas A&M, of course, they have a huge matchup with the Longhorns next week. Winner of that game is going to get into the SEC title game. Are they looking ahead with Auburn on their schedule for tomorrow night? Well, Mike doesn't want his players to be thinking about Texas. The problem is it sounds like he's thinking about Texas as he slips up here at the end.
I think when you're in the situation we're in, it's easy to focus on the task at hand. I think, those big games earlier in the year, maybe you look ahead. If we didn't have at stake what's at stake, maybe you would worry about it. I think our focus is single-handedly on on Auburn right now and locked in on what we got to get done.
Slip it a tongue. All right, you lose. We know now they're officially worried about Texas only.
I think there could be in trouble. Now Auburn stinks. They are an awful football team. Why is this number only 2.5 tomorrow night in Auburn? I smell something very fishy here. I'm taking Auburn against Texas A&M tomorrow night to beat up on the Aggies.
Give me the Chilean sea bass undercooked. Give me the 2.5 at Auburn.
Boise is into Wyoming. Of course, they always have a heavy number. Alabama's 13.5-point favorites at Oklahoma. Utah getting points at home against Iowa State. And the Battle of Los Angeles has UCLA. Give me those points with UCLA late night.
I got 7.5 with Utah last night, and it moved to 6.5 today. I'm still on the Utes. I like UCLA at the Rose Bowl. Give me the 4.5 points. I like Auburn, the Chilean sea bass at 2.5. Undercooked. Alabama in Norman, getting involved, getting it done, and Boise smacking that horse's ass in Laramie.
Yeah, Wyoming's really bad this year. That's a game where Boise should be, and that's what I mean with this Mountain West. Like, they're going to flex. And they've had some games where they haven't covered the last couple weeks, Boise. But I think that Wyoming is so bad that they should be able to do it. You talked about this earlier with Gabe. Number 1 overall recruit, Bryce Underwood, flips from LSU to Michigan. Why don't we just call it like it is? He didn't flip. Michigan paid him more money. That's why he went to Michigan, because they gave him a bigger check. Has nothing to do with – it's not like they brought him around the weight room and he said, man, I can't miss out on this. They gave him a bigger check, which is why he's going.
So is LSU going to buy out and get rid of Brian Kelly for $61 million?
No way. I don't believe that. I think that he would have to have a couple of disastrous seasons. This is disastrous season 1. I don't think that he if he has another one next year,
they already
then
hate
yes.
him. They hate him already. He's doomed. He can't even go to the grocery store without taking Shaq from some idiot fan. Honestly, he can't walk around the corner. People are abusing that guy till no end. He will never be able to take it. He had the life of luxury in South Bend with all the Catholics and the nuns and the priests. And now he's got to deal with these morons down there, and they're all a bunch of idiots. You lose one game at LSU, and you are finished.
And that's his problem. Mac Brown will return to North Carolina next year.
What a disaster.
Another year for Mac.
That is.
Under the sun.
Dillingham at Arizona State instead of some guy that's 95 years old.
I just don't get it
anymore. What are they doing? Bring back Mike Krzyzewski.
Makes no sense at all for Mac. There you go. Huge college football weekend that we are going to have. Well, after the break, I'll give you all the NBA Cup games for tonight. I will tell you last night, Hornets beat the Pistons in overtime. I think you had that, right? You had the Hornets yesterday. Raptors beat Minnie outright in Toronto against the Wolves. The Spurs beat up on the Jazz, beat them by 8. And the Magic beat the Lakers 119-118. I got time for this. I'm going to slide it in. AD misses a couple of free throws on one end, and then at the other end, Franz Wagner on FanDuel Sportsnet Florida.
Go for the W. Let's see. Franz Wagner surveys the landscape. Looking for help. Shot clock down to 5. He's going to go for the win. Shot is up, and he got it! Franz Wagner! You are fantastic, Franz!
Everyone loves a little Wagner with their dinner.
Good win for the Magic. That was the first home loss for the Lakers this season, was what the Magic gave to them last night.
All right. You lose.
We will come back and roll through all of this. We have a bunch of games in the NBA Cup.
This? Philly's favored again tonight. Philadelphia's favored over the Nets.
Philly's favored over the Nets tonight. We'll give you that number. And Hubie Brown's final season behind the mic at ESPN. At least Hubie knows to go, unlike Mac Brown. Hubie Brown is going to finish things off.
Does he really? He's already 104. He's dating my mother-in-law. Hubie's so old. Like, honestly, like I told you, at 70, nobody wants you anymore. I'm 59 and they don't want me anymore. It's unbelievable.
No.
Discrimination.
two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I just like the fact that we pretend like these NBA games are so significant because they put a name on them, the NBA Cup, that we're all supposed to drop our pants tonight and pray at the altar of the NBA. What a thrill it'll be to watch the 2-12 Sixers play the Nets on television. I can't tell you how excited I am, and I may start flying Emirates.
Well, you should be very excited, that's for sure, because I'll even start off with a classic. The Nets and the Sixers in Philadelphia with the NBA Cup this evening. And how about this? Nick Nurse just said Embiid's a game-time decision. They're going to give it another hour to find out if Embiid's going to play. Maxey will see increased minutes tonight, was also said in the pregame meeting with the media. The Sixers are minus 5.5, 215.5 is the total. I think this is easy for us. We're taking the Nets with the 5.5.
Give me the Nets. It's pretty obvious. Gambling Kenny, bring me the cards. Give me the hit.
Give me the Nets. It just doesn't make any sense to me. 30 for Cam Thomas tonight, too. 30 points for Cam Thomas.
30? How about he's going to score 40?
That'd be even better if he'd like to do that. But that would be a no sweat for the 30. So let's see if we can do it. The Celtics are in D.C. against the Wizards. I did see they went to the White House yesterday.
How
their
embarrassing is Biden? He called them the Bulls. I mean, this guy is so far
You guys
gone.
are the Celtics, right? You guys are the Celtics?
Listen,
right?
what's the over-under on that guy's lasting on this earth? I give him not even 12 months.
I can't.
12 months. I'll take the under. Now, remember, I told you I made a bet once. With my auto place, the place that fixes my cars. My man, Bobby, made me a bet. He's a big Trump guy. And he made me a bet.
Boy.
This is going back to the last election that A, that Biden would never win, and B, that he wouldn't last in office 1 year if he did win. I won both bets. And I get free synthetic for life on all the cards. You got to love that bet. That is just a classic bet. Now, 4 years later, I'm taking the under on his life expectancy of 12 months. I give him 12 months before he's gone. The guy's already gone. He doesn't know whether it's Monday, Sunday. He's like, welcome to the White House, the champion Bulls. He doesn't know.
You guys are the Celtics, right? You turn around. You guys are the Celtics? Celtics are 15.5-point favorites this evening in D.C.
What do they call it?
237.
Ass rub tonight. The ass rub special. Give me the Celtics and lay the points. The ass rub on the ribs. Give me the ass rub. Give me the Celtics.
Might have a little bit of that in New Orleans as well. The Warriors are in town to play the Pelicans this evening. This is 10.5 with a 221.5. And I did see this update that came through about an hour ago. Zion Williamson is, quote, not remotely close, end quote, to return. Man, it's amazing. That guy he just
Remember the
doesn't
song?
play.
Here we go. You dropped a bomb on me. You dropped a bomb on me. That's what the Dubs are going to drop on the Pelicans tonight. Pelican droppings in the smoothie. Give me the Dubs. You dropped a bomb on me. You dropped a bomb.
Two teams that have, I guess you could say, struggled out of the gate. The Pacers and the Bucks are both 6-9 as they meet in Milwaukee this evening. Bucks -5.5, 236.5 the total.
Bucks win, Pacers cover at the Brewtown Fiserv, the local deli.
We did give you those NBA Cup standings the other night. The Hawks are actually 2-0 in their group, and they're looking for 3-0 tonight in Chicago against the Bulls, who were not at the White House yesterday. Hawks -1.5, 246.5. 246.5 is the total tonight.
Clearly, the president giving the free tip for tonight. Yesterday at the White House, you're the Bulls, right? Oh, you're the Celtics? Give me the Bulls and the 1 point. The Bulls with the outright win in overtime over the Hawks at the United Center on the west side.
Wow. The Trailblazers are in Houston against the Rockets. Rockets are 11-5. They're playing great. They're laying 12.5 this evening. 224.5 the total.
Patty Melt, give me the Rockets and your boy Şengün.
Şengün. Of course, no Luka for Dallas tonight as they are in Denver against the Nuggets. Although it looks like you might get Joker back as he's a game-time decision. -3.5 for Denver, 224.5 the total.
Pounce on the Nuggets right now, Ball Arena. Let's go.
And finally, Sacramento is at the Intuit Dome against the Clippers tonight. Kings road favorites -3.5, 220.5 the total.
Sabonis and Fox getting involved on the road at the Intuit in Lipstick City. Give me the Kings.
Yeah, I know the Clippers have played a little better the last few times out, but I'm with you with the Kings here tonight. Let's go on the streets in Inglewood. NBA Cup, very exciting. All of those matchups
Very exciting.
For you this evening. Everyone's excited because these games, they matter more. The NBA Cup. They just want to make sure everybody knows that. They matter more than a regular game.
Until Christmas Day. How's that for a theory?
That's what many would tell you as well. All right, I will do all the college rack for tonight when we come back in leftovers because there's some great games tonight, including that Duke-Arizona game out in Tucson. Baylor beat St. John's in double overtime last night. St. John's blew an 18-point lead at the half and lost in 2 OTs. So that means that Baylor will play Tennessee, who beat Virginia last night, and St. John's will play Virginia, so we'll give you that. Indiana did beat Greensboro 69-58, although I don't believe there was 12.5, right?
17.5. They didn't cover.
Oh, 17.5. Yeah, they did not cover that at all. So we will get into all the games. I have the hockey for tonight. I have a couple baseball things, and yes, even a Conor McGregor note. In leftovers.
By the way, Indiana should not be ranked. I've watched them play all their games, and they are so average. It's not even funny. I mean, honestly, how are they ranked? Wait till they start playing Big Ten games and getting whacked. Honestly,
the roster is ranked. The names are ranked, but the performance on the court hasn't.
That's right. They are very average night to night.
two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
We live in a society right now where everybody's a snowflake, everybody's a cupcake, and everybody thinks that nothing is fair. Everything is like, it's not fair. We should have a better chance. We need more. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when you needed to have a perfect goddamn record to win a college football championship. That's the way it was. 11-1, too bad.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Marcus Johnson, when you look at Nikola Jokic, these aren't guys that are big, super athletic, dunking and jumping over people. These are just guys that are clean, skilled footwork, and do things below the rim that make the everyday guy look like it'd be like, I can do that. But you can't, and neither can I.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
All right, leftovers time.
Yeah, leftovers time indeed. Here we go. College Rack tonight. Let's start with that Duke-Arizona game, actually. This is a late-night tip out in Tucson, -1.5 for the Wildcats.
Tough to win at the McHale Center. I like the Wildcats.
Next, we mentioned those games in the Bahamas. St. John's will play Virginia in the first game. Baylor will play Tennessee in the championship game. Same thing in Brooklyn. Syracuse and Texas Tech lost last night. Then you get Texas and St. Joe's in the nightcap. They both won last night.
I like St. John's. I like Tennessee. Baylor had to play, double overtime in that game last night. I like, obviously Texas over St. Joe's. And I think that Syracuse Texas Tech game is going to be pretty tough to call. What's the number there? It's 11.5 that they're laying.
11.5.
Yeah. Number. Give me the number with Cuse.
Some games not neutral site, but actually on home floors. Jackson State is at Kentucky tonight. Huge number there. Florida against Southern Illinois. Hofstra visiting Houston. And North Carolina on their way to the Maui Classic, of course, which starts on Monday. Why not stop in and blow out Hawaii on the way there here tonight?
Yeah, Heels get it done. Houston gets it done. Florida and Kentucky both get it done as well tonight. There's no problems for any of those teams.
There you go. A lot of college rack. Carolina goalie Freddie Anderson is going to miss 8 to 12 weeks after knee surgery. Winnipeg is in Pittsburgh. Hockey night at the PPG. Penguins, dogs at home to the Winnipeg Jets.
I got to tell you, I enjoy going to that arena. It's a great arena. It's beautiful. It's magnificent. It's unbelievable. And they're still going to get stomped tonight by the Jets. They beat them 6-3 already. And for all the they're going to beat the shack out of them tonight in Pittsburgh again.
I agree. And Buffalo is in Anaheim. Of course, they won 1-0 in L.A. the other night. They are -154 at the Duck Pond.
You know what? The Ducks have been playing pretty well. I say they beat the Sabres tonight.
Let's go. I'll take the late night dog with you as well at home. Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani unanimously both won their MVP awards last night. The Cubs want to trade Cody Bellinger. Remember, he opted in to stay with the Cubs, and he could do that for like the next 3 years. Cubs now looking to maybe move Bellinger out of there. St. Louis is looking to move Nolan Arenado. They have reached out to teams. He has a no trade he would have to approve. anywhere that he goes. MLB will test robot umps as part of a challenge system during spring training at 13 ballparks. Could lead to regular season use in 2026. Robot umps coming your way, Scotty.
Well, I mean, the umps are so bad, the humans, why not? Like, why not do it?
Why
because they're just terrible.
They are really bad. Pep Guardiola signs a 2-year extension at Man City. That guy's got lots of money. Ex-Temple Hoops player Heister Miller is being investigated for shaving points and impacting the outcome of games last year. Remember we at the end of last year, we had those couple Temple games that came off the board? That was because of this guy who's going to be in a lot of trouble once they figure out all the details behind it. Big trouble. And last thing for me, Conor McGregor found guilty today in Dublin, in Ireland, in a civil case, of course, that has been going on, that he raped a woman in 2018. She was awarded just over $250,000 for that. McGregor is appealing, doesn't like the decision, says it's completely wrong.
How is it possible that they find this guy guilty of rape and he only has to give the chick $250,000? What a deal. I mean, honestly, like, if I were him, I'd wash my hands of it right now and just pay it. You're not going to win the appeal either. But she only got $250,000. She got weaseled. All right, for all the finish time, Coachella 25 to be headlined by Post Malone, Lady Gaga, Green Day, and Travis Scott. Have you ever seen the people that go to Coachella? What do you mean, you people? It's exactly what I mean. What a mess and smelly, hairy armpit place that is. Delta will serve Shake Shack burgers. Christ almighty, they should serve them. I sat on a Delta flight last week. My knees were so far in my mouth, they came out the back of my head. It was the most uncomfortable plane I've ever been on in my life. Delta making all kinds of money. Boy, do they stuff them in those planes. Mississippi man fatally buried under hot asphalt while working on a truck. That is awesome. Buried alive under hot piping asphalt. My man was having an awful day. Medical school professor arrested for peddling date rape drug dubbed the coma in a bottle. How'd you like to go to the local college bar and have someone dump that in your drink and then take you for everything you're worth? GTD is next. Go to FerrallOnTheBench.com. Go Hoosiers. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next time.
You got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White, you got literally, I would say what, 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
You're going a little deep bomb hunting here. We don't care that we have the one heavy favorite with Rory, a couple other guys like Fleetwood and Tagala, etc. You're going to go a little deeper down the board.
This course, I think, is going to play a little bit more to the wedges. They have, what they did is they've renovated it to basically block off some of the bombing alleys for these guys. They've narrowed the fairways.
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Garrett Cole is getting ready to come back too. I guess look, they've played great without him, but you're not going to say to Garrett Cole, look, don't come back. I mean, it's a ridiculous conversation to have.
They're not going to take any unnecessary chances. And look, they're at the point where they have a lead. They certainly are going to make the playoffs, I would say, barring some sort of complete collapse. And that's all it takes.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
8 playoff games at home for Boston in Beantown. They are 6-2 straight up.
The wild card, I would say, in this game is not necessarily, well, what are we going to get out of Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Brown, and certainly Tatum. It is Kristaps Porzingis to me, because we're not getting back a player that's like, hey, rotational guy. Like, remember when Derek Lively went down with an injury? He was playing well, but a young player, like a piece.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.